Got it. Okay. Hello everyone. Um, could I get a thumbs up if you guys can hear me okay? Um, Karen and the kids there, just so I know that you guys are able to hear my presentation. Okay, I'm able to just get a quick thumbs up from you guys just to make sure that you guys can hear me. Just because I don't want you guys to miss anything. Oh, got other people joining as well. There we go. Anyway, so I'll carry on and I'll begin. So my name's Darrel Njogu, and I work with BAE Systems as an industrial placement student for the current year. And I'm here to talk to you about the world of planes and what maths can do in terms of offering you a whole variety of opportunities in the world of aviation and the different avenues that you can take going down. So a little bit about myself. I am 22 years old. So when I was around your ages, so year 6, year 7, was around the same time of the 2012 Olympics. I remember being really excited about that. I remember I actually went to Super Saturday down in Stratford, saw Mo win gold, so Jessica Ennis win gold. I think it was Usain Bolt that day. I think it was, yeah. So yeah, I not too long ago, I guess, I was around your age. I currently, I live in Luton, but I'm born in Kenya, which is, as you can see, the little country in Africa. And I moved to the UK when I was 4 years old, so a while ago now. And I am currently at university at the University of Leicester, which isn't too far from me, about an hour drive. And I love maths. When I was at school, I've always been into maths. Just kind of, I like knowing, the great thing about maths is that you work something out and you're working towards an answer. There's like an end goal that you're reaching to. It's like digging for that pot of gold. You do it using all these calculations and trying to get there. I also did a maths tuition program called Kumon, which I think is still available now for a few years, because I was my parents knew I was a big fan of maths, and they got me into Kumon as well, which kind of excelled me even further into kind of getting into maths and enjoying it as well. Sorry about that. And I also love planes. Now, when I first moved to the country, 2005, 2004, we took a plane here from Kenya, and I remember it being an entirely crazy experience. It's the first time I ever flew. The whole flight, I was just fascinated at how we were so high up in the air, how we were able to go across the world when I was younger, a long time. But when you think about it, it's not too long to actually get from one side of the world to the other. And it was a passion of mine to be able to understand how everything worked and to be able to go into the aviation industry and go into engineering, which is where I'm at now. So what is engineering? Now, by the dictionary definition, we have the application of scientific and mathematical principles to practical ends, such as the design, manufacture, operation of efficient and economical structures, machines, processes, and systems. So a lot of jargon in that, a lot of big words. But one thing I've realized as I've grown up, and I've kind of always said to like my parents and different people that I've met that I want to go into engineering, no one knows what engineering is. Engineering means so many different things to so many different people. Even at university, if you go around and speak to different people who are in my course and in my lectures, and you would ask them, what would you say engineering is? It means so many different things to so many people. So for me, engineering is kind of what you make of it. And it means, so engineering to me is using your abilities to be able to come up with solutions to deal with problems. and basically just being creative and intuitive. So for example, let's just say you've dropped your keys behind the sofa and you can't move the sofa. Engineering would be getting a coat hanger and undoing it and pulling the keys out, something like that. It's using your mind to come up with ideas to fix problems, basically, and putting that into practice. So if you feel like you're someone who comes up with these crazy ideas, crazy inventions, I remember always kind of drawing new different things and saying how I'd want to use them and all that kind of stuff. Engineering might be kind of the way to go for you. And it's something that I think when I was younger, at school, we didn't really kind of never really knew about until you kind of grew up and you were looking at what you wanted to do it when you were older and being able to discuss these kind of things as well. So yeah, it's just using your brain and seeing what you can do with it, basically. So here's some crazy things that I just wanted to bring forward to you guys and just think if you've ever thought about how crazy this stuff is. So have you ever thought about or ever wondered how a plane that weighs 488 tons? So now if I was, let me just describe it. So a small car weighs 1.5 tons. So one of those little small car, maybe like that takes to school, maybe that you if you got a taxi, something like that. One of those little small cars that you see on the road basically every day if you walk into and from school or something. One of those weighs 1.5. So imagine that now times that by basically 400, and that's how much you've got in a plane, basically, right? So imagine a 488 ton plane flying as high as 3,500 feet, right? Now that's the same as 70 African elephants, those big elephants that you see in safaris or you might have seen on TV, those documentaries that David Attenborough does, which is just great. 70 of them, right, flying as high as 33 Eiffel Towers. Absolutely crazy when you think about it, right? And think of the power you must need to be able to not only get up there, but then you need to stay up there as well. And on top of that, you have to make it safe, right? So something that heavy, you would think easily would come down, but it's the power that they're using and all the crazy maths behind it that's gone forward and has been able to come up with intuitive and ingenious ways to be able to keep flight planes up in the air, keep the people safe. And not only that, while you're in the air as well, like they're still communicating with people down on the ground as well. So that's another part that they like crazy enough to think of, right? So you being so high up in the sky, the pilots who are flying the plane are able to speak to people on the ground and tell them, oh yeah, no, we're okay, we're safe, we're following the right track, which is just absolutely crazy when you think about it. It's a feat that has taken years to do and done through a lot of maths and a lot of physics as well. Have you also thought about how some fighter jets travel so quickly that you'll see them before you hear them? Now, I know sometimes if you're outside, you'll sometimes be able to hear a plane before you see it. And that's because in most cases, and this is going to get really crazy, most cases, the speed of sound is faster than the speed of light that you'll see something. But with fighter jets, which is something that I work with at BAE Systems, the jet goes so quickly that you'll see it and then you'll hear it afterwards. So you'll see the plane go past and you've got the sound following it afterwards, which is it's a crazy concept when you think about it. And as you can see in that picture there, that's the jet itself breaking the sound barrier. So you get a ring around it and it creates a massive boom. And if you ever hear one, it is absolutely like groundbreaking. It is one of the loudest noises you'll ever hear. And a lot of planes who fly at that speed can't fly over like land, basically, just because when you hear that massive boom, it can break glasses, it can shatter your eardrums if it's too loud. And it just does crazy amounts of damage. So we have to be careful where the fighter jets are flying. But it's a crazy feat to be able to travel so fast that your noise is after you. Could you imagine that? You're running and screaming, but your scream is behind you and you're facing forward. Absolutely crazy. Also, absolutely crazy about the jets as well is some of them can maneuver in the sky like little small birds. So again, back to the the nature. If you've ever seen those documentaries where you see a hummingbird being able to fly in one position while beating its wings very quickly and just being able to soar from side to side, we have these fighter jets. And I'm not sure if you've ever seen them before. I remember when I was younger, I went to Bournemouth, I think, which is on the south coast, and went for the Red Arrow show, which is absolutely crazy. If you can, I think they're still doing them. If you can to go see them, I'll definitely go see them. It's where these planes, these fighter jets that weigh thousands, like they weigh about what, maybe 10 times, 100 times more than those the small cars that you see on the roads. And they're being able to move like a little small bird, being able to do loop-to-loops, being able to spin and move at just incredible speeds, and putting on a crazy show. It's like a gymnast in the sky, basically. And this is all done through maths, engineering, people coming together and getting all the calculations down, working out how heavy the plane can be to be able to do all these moves, how far away they have to be from each other, all this stuff. Everything I've discussed is done with maths and engineering. And it's all possible. Everyone, we can all do it. I remember being in your shoes and thinking, oh gosh, it sounds so, like I can't be like, couldn't imagine myself being in the position where I'd be working with some of this stuff, especially when I went to see the Red Arrow show. I thought, oh my gosh, that'd be crazy to actually be able to work on them. And a few years down the line, here I am, which has been absolutely crazy. Now, all of this is done through maths. Maths is one of the greatest skills you can have in your toolbox. It can be applied not only across engineering and aviation, but across basically every sector that there is, every field. It's one of the greatest skills and the most key skill you can have in everyday life as well as your career. And engineers have come together to make all of the things that we've talked about come to life. So that is talking about making planes that are incredibly heavy fly incredibly high and make it safer to the destination. It is making planes that can fly faster than the sound behind them and being able to maneuver like never before, basically. And these are all crazy ideas that people would thought of one day, and no one had thought it. People had thought of it and thought, oh, that sounds crazy. I wonder if I could actually be able to do it. And that's what engineering is. Engineering is coming up with these crazy ideas, saying, oh, I really want to see if I can make a plane that can fly quicker than the sound behind it. And people have done it and they've been able to do it, and they've put it into practice and putting it into real life. Now, the people who have done this, they've used a lot of maths and a lot of physics as well. And the great thing about maths is that if you're an avid learner, or if you really enjoy using maths in your everyday life, it goes really well with physics, because a lot of them do come hand in hand. So when you're looking at, especially with like engineering is where maths and physics basically meet hand in hand, and you're using both of them to be able to come up with crazy new different ideas. And you'll be able to, as you go through school, the older you get, the more you realize when you're learning about stuff like gravity and the forces and all that kind of stuff, you'll be able to think, when you're adding your forces up to see how heavy something is, you'll be able to realize, oh, wait a minute, that's a bit of maths right there. And when you're going forward and looking at calculations for kind of your planets, working on different planets, looking at like that, all that kind of stuff, looking at the solar system, a lot of that does link in with your maths. And yeah, so if you enjoy both, I'd say keep one hand connected to maths, one hand connected to physics, and let them both guide you. Let them both guide you through school, and they can take you to incredible places as well. So what can you do with maths and engineering with planes? So these are all the possible prospects. These aren't all of them. There are hundreds and thousands of more jobs. I started working where I am about 5 months ago now, and I've just been introduced to so many different things that places that engineering can take you that you would have just never thought were possible or even existed. And it is just an incredible journey that I've been on, and I want to share with you guys as well, for you guys to be able to understand kind of where maths and physics can take you in this in life, basically. So you can work on building the planes, be at the front of changing the industry and leading great new projects. So I'm sure you've heard a lot about how we're with everything in terms of making the planet more green, making it more sustainable. Now, aviation is one of those industries that needs that change as well. We need to start working on making planes more eco-friendly, and that's been being done through working on engines that are fueled by green sources, whether it be stuff like hydrogen, whether they be solar powered planes working, being powered by the sun. You have planes that could be powered by electricity. All of these are all in the works at the moment, with loads of different businesses trying to be at the lead. And you could potentially be one of these people that when you grow up will be working and being able to actually launch these projects into the world and saying, hey, I've done my part to, you know, make the world a greener place. I designed this plane here that's going to take, I don't know, you and your friends or you and your family off on holiday, and it runs entirely on green fuel, you know, no bad gases into the atmosphere. It's completely safe. And it's just, and it's something that I think we need to all think about as well, the sustainability of our planet as we grow older. You know, we've got to do what we can to keep it alive and well. You can work on maintenance and make sure that planes are safe to fly for all that use it. So working at like crazy big airports, or working at the places where they make the planes themselves, and when the airplanes come in, you being on those planes themselves and you being able to, you know, turn the screws and kind of looking underneath something and saying, okay, that needs changing, you knowing what part that needs to be changed, doing the math, saying, okay, this one then needs to be changed in another, I don't know, 3 months, making sure that when it comes back in, it's only been 3 months, all that kind of stuff. Just looking at ways that you can make sure that everyone is safe, which is one of the biggest parts of engineering, is making sure that it's the whole industry, everything that you do basically is safe, and we need engineers to make sure that there are people who are checking and making sure that everything is safe. To be able to fly planes to destinations all across the world, and see sites that you've never seen before. Now, this is basically becoming a pilot. You could become, go through flying lessons, working with airlines. I've done a flying lesson before. I won it with this program I was doing, and I can say it's one of the most craziest experiences. I would definitely recommend looking for programs in which way they will sponsor you and they will pay for your flying lessons, and they will teach you how to fly a plane. And you start from the small ones and you work your way to those absolutely huge planes that you see taking you on holiday. And it is an incredible industry to get into as well, because you are basically, it's almost like being the captain on like a cruise ship, or like imagine like kind of like your head teacher at school. Basically, you are the lead of that plane. You are in charge of everything that goes on. It's your kind of your judgment, and whatever you say kind of goes on the plane, and you're the one guiding it from one place to another. And you get to travel the world and see so many crazy places that I'm sure you'd love to see, and you're being paid to do it as well, which is the best bit about it as well. So you're being able to go on holiday and you're being paid to go on holiday, you know, and you're taking other people on holiday and you're being paid to do that as well, which is absolutely incredible, I think. See sites you've never seen before. Now, you are able to, from here, to travel basically all across the world. That's a great thing about living in the UK, is the fact that we have access to basically every airport in the world kind of directly as well, whether it be with a stop off or kind of going from there. You can go see the Great Wall of China. You could go on a safari in Kenya if you wanted to. You could go see the Great Pyramids, and all of this done through being a pilot, using maths in your training, with your kind of navigation, working out where everything is, and all that kind of stuff. So this is a potential great career if you wanted to. You could also work at the airports to make sure the runways and the buildings are ready to take the aircrafts on. So when you have, when you're working at an airport, and you're making sure that the runways, there's never a clash, basically, because it would be absolutely horrendous if you had two planes coming in at the same time. You have to use your math to work out, okay, this plane will take, I don't know, 20 minutes to come into land, and then another 5 minutes to come off the runway. So you have to make sure you have to leave like 25 minutes before the next plane comes in, and maybe a little bit of ample time as well, just in case things don't go as planned. You have to make sure when it comes in, okay, this plane needs to go here, and this plane is, I don't know how many meters long, so you have to leave that much distance between this plane and the next plane, and a little bit of distance as well, just in case it needs to maneuver. All these crazy different ways that you can use maths working at an airport. And I think personally, I'd love to work in an airport just because of just the atmosphere. When you're at an airport and you see everyone's like bubbly, everyone's ready and excited to go on holiday, everyone's ready to just make their next steps, and everyone's excited to go to their next destination. And I think for me personally, yeah, it'd just be great to be able to work at an airport and see exactly what you can do. So these two pictures I've attached onto here. The one at the top is the Concorde, which was a supersonic flight. Now, supersonic is the term we use for jets that can fly faster than the sound behind it. I should have said that before. But if it can fly faster than the sound behind it, then we call it a supersonic jet. And this was the only one that we had that carried people. So in fighter jets, they're only used when it's only the pilot that's in the plane when they're flying it. But years ago, we had the Concorde, which was able to travel just like that at crazy speeds, where it could get from London to New York, which would take maybe 3 to 4 hours, which is crazy because because of the time difference. You know how the clocks went back just the other, I think it was like 2 weekends ago, and it changed our time. Basically, this plane can fly so quickly that if you left here at 12 o'clock, you would land in New York an hour before you've even taken off in London, because of the way the time moves across the world, which is crazy, right? Now, due to complications with the jet and the fact that because of the supersonic boom, as I was talking about, the massive ring as you're going, it makes a loud sound behind it. It can't fly over. It couldn't fly over land, and due to an accident that they had as well, it just wasn't it wasn't economically viable. So that means it wasn't worth it for the business to be able to fly it, just because of all the complications it had at the time. Now, moving forward, they've looking at the picture below, that's another concept of a design that they're trying to run with and trying to create themselves, and they want to be able to bring this back into industry, being able to bringing it back for people to be able to fly in it again and experience just the craziness of being able to get somewhere before you've even landed, being able to reach places much quicker than you have done before. And this is something they want to bring back into life, basically. And if you wanted to, you could, using your maths, your physics hand in hand, and making that into the engineering world, and going into engineering, you could work on one of these planes here and being able to create a jet that will be able to take you these places at incredible speeds, and being able to do it safely as well, which I think would just be an absolutely crazy prospect and an absolutely crazy idea. So something to keep in mind, maybe. Now, what can you do to get involved and ready to get more into maths, more into physics, more into engineering? I'll give you like my top tips, basically. So do research into things that interest you, basically. So let's just say if you're interested in like the Concorde jet, or into supersonic flying, and you think, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Or if you like fighter jets, or if you've watched, I don't know, a movie that's really, really interested you, and you've thought there's some like, I don't know, technology in it that's absolutely crazy that you really want to see where that goes. I know there's lots of like sci-fi, like the sci-fi movies where you see the jets go up into space, and you just think it's crazy to be able to kind of go all the way up into space and kind of just be weightless and just be floating about. I'd say do kind of research into it. Maybe read some books if there's any books with that are concerning them in your library, maybe, or maybe research a few websites, watch a few documentaries. You know, there's loads of stuff on YouTube where you can find out loads and loads about different different things that interest you. I actually, I'm subscribed to this channel called Real Engineering, which talks about loads of new engineering designs and different concepts that are being brought to life and things that aren't here yet, but are being worked on, and kind of inspires me to maybe want to work with one of them later on in life, maybe to see, keep it in my mind and see maybe that's something I can work with later on. Also, you've got loads of if you wanted to go into aviation, if you love going on holiday, if you love traveling, if you want to see the world and see loads of different animals and try loads of different foods out and just see loads of different sites, maybe loads of different sites and all that kind of stuff, then definitely look up stuff to do with aviation and look at stuff like joining your local air cadets or your local glider club, maybe. And even maybe look online and see maybe there's some programs where they'll actually pay for you to fly. Because there are some programs that do that. And it will be a world-changing experience for you to be able to fly a plane yourself. And it will really get you into, it'll give you that passion and get you into wanting to take it further. I'd also say speak to teachers and your family and friends who might share the same interest of you. Find out where they work. Maybe someone you know works for an airline, maybe a pilot, maybe a member of cabin crew, you know. Maybe they'll be able to kind of get you into what they're doing, show you a little bit more about it, tour you around an aircraft, maybe take you to an airport if they work at an airport, work near an airport, or if they work for an engineering business, teach you more about what they do, maybe even take you into their offices and you can see kind of the crazy aircraft that they're working on. Yeah, use the people around you, basically. Everyone's basically there to help you and they want to support you, so make the most of them. It's one thing that going forward, I think, always remember to make the most of the people around you, because everyone's here to help you, and it's just great to be able to use the resources that you have around you to be able to do all this. And finally, make maths fun. Play loads of games that use maths and think of fun ways that you can use maths as well. And this also goes for engineering as well. If you think of loads of crazy different inventions that you might want to do later on in life, or crazy different ideas, maybe get involved with some of these programs where they make you design these things, where you can kind of make them come to life. And kind of just pursue that. Do what makes you happy in terms of using your maths and your engineering. Yeah, I'd say if you enjoy it, if it makes you happy, 100% go for it. And if you can find a way to be able to use that, if maths makes you happy, if physics makes you happy, then do what you can to continue enjoying it. One thing I've realized kind of growing up is it's difficult to be able to be good in something if you don't enjoy it. And I've loved maths. Physics for me was a bit harder, but I found a way to make it fun. I found a way to incorporate more maths into it, which made it more enjoyable. And when you enjoy something, work doesn't seem like work anymore. It just seems like you're having a lot of fun. It just seems maybe like time will just fly if you're having time flies when you're having fun. So to be able to do that is one of the things I'd push for you guys to kind of take away from this. So yeah, have fun with it, and thank you for listening to my presentation today. If you do have any questions, do feel free to put them in the chat box, or I'm not sure how the questions are being asked, but yeah, happy to help out and answer. Thank you.
That's great, Darrell. Thank you very much. If any of the students do have any questions, if you just pop them in chat quickly, and we've got a few minutes left, and Darrell will try and answer those for you. I'm not sure if there are any. Okay, nothing's popping up. We will be sending an evaluation. Oh, here we go. What is the best thing you have ever engineered?
Ooh, okay. So the best thing I've ever engineered was last year at university. We had a project where we had to make a fighting robot. So it was a group, we had loads of different groups and we had to design a robot from scratch, basically. And it was for, I'm not sure if you've ever seen, I'm not sure if it's about this, I know it's not, there was a show called Robot Wars, basically, where we had, where you have loads of different robots that basically kind of compete against each other, and we were able to design our own. So as a team, we came together, we did all the drawings for it. We thought about the kind of electrical units inside of it. How is it going to move? How is it going to work? How is it going to maneuver? And it was a year-long project, and seeing it come to life was absolutely incredible, because it went from literally being in an idea in our minds and all of us drawing, oh, we want it to look like this, oh, we want it to look like that, and then literally seeing it and actually being able to watch it and kind of maneuver itself and actually come to life at uni was absolutely incredible. So that would be probably the greatest thing that I've from scratch and seen it through to life, makes it best thing I've engineered.
There's a couple more. So another question is, why does the pilot not lose his hearing due to the sound of the supersonic plane? If it's so loud, how do they not go deaf?
So this is another great thing about engineering as well. They've designed headphones basically that are so soundproof you can't hear them, and the cockpit where the pilot sits has got such a protection around it that the sound is minimalized. So it's so small that it sounds very minor to the pilot, but outside it, because there's no barriers and stuff, it sounds extremely loud, which is why you can't hear it if you're inside. It's the materials that they've used. They've done loads of testing on it to say, okay, it's safe to use and you can't hear and you can still see from it. It's loads of different things that have come together. So it's the canopy, everything around them, and the headphones as well that they use, that stops them from losing their sense of hearing as well.
And do aeroplane crashes make you like aeroplanes less?
No, I'd say for me, it kind of creates this thing of kind of knowing that safety is something that can always be built upon and something that you can always work with. So it shows that there's an area that needs more work, basically, and perhaps somewhere that I myself could get involved with and actually want to say, okay, so we've seen this happen in the future. How do we stop happening? We've seen this happen in the past, sorry. How do we stop it happening in the future? And that's when you kind of go forward and you say, okay, we can kind of incorporate this design into the aircraft that will stop it from crashing. You think of all these crazy ideas. And that's kind of the thing about engineering, is thinking about these ideas and putting them forward, and saying, okay, so this has happened. How do we stop it from happening? And boom, engineering mind comes to life and you think of all these ideas to stop it from happening.
So a couple more questions. What is the biggest project you have ever worked on, and what is your favorite plane?
My biggest project has been working with it's the Typhoon jet. So it's a jet that's used by loads of different countries across the world, and it was looking at the safety of the jet. So as you were talking about, when planes crash, does it make me want to fly them less? That was kind of what we were doing. We were looking at issues that these planes were having, and it was being able to think of different ways that we can stop these issues from happening. So it wasn't all plane crashes. It was maybe a bit of an issue when the plane was taking off, landing, the pilot saw something on the plane and they were like, oh, that doesn't look right. So it was being able to do that and work on different ways, different ideas, and pushing that forward with my company that I'm at now, because it kind of helped me use my engineering brain, basically, and it meant that I could think of all these crazy ideas, put them forward, and kind of going which one was which one made the most sense, which one was most sensible to use. And yeah, it was really enjoyable. And my favorite plane would be I think a Boeing 747, just because it is a double-decker plane. And I think it's crazy having a plane that has like 2 floors.
And finally, the last question that we've got before we end the session is, does a plane have to be at a certain height for it to be able to fly supersonically?
Ooh, that is a good, it doesn't have to, Do you know what? I'm actually going to look that one up. I know that it has to, so it can't, it has to be a, I actually do think it does have to be because of the fact that the air becomes, so as you go up, the air becomes thinner. So I'm not sure if you've like, if you ever go, if you climb up a big hill, or if you go, I don't know if you've ever been, I don't know, skiing or mountain climbing or that kind of stuff, you realize that it becomes harder to breathe. So that's the same thing kind of when you're in a plane, you get so high that the air becomes thinner and it makes it easier to fly through essentially. So I do believe that once you've got to a certain height basically and the air's thin enough, you can then fly at supersonic speed. I think it's not as easy to fly at supersonic on land as it is up in the sky. But yeah, that's something I'm gonna look into that. But I
That
do
was
believe,
great.
yeah, something you have to do when you're high up.
Thank you, Darrell, and thank you ever so much, Karen. Matthew's already had to leave, unfortunately. Hope your students found that very helpful. We will be sending a feedback form round, so we look forward to receiving your comments. Thank you ever so much, everyone. Bye.
Right.